Boy, this show never fails to give us something to talk about. Episode 7 of Gundam The Witch from Mercury just raised more questions than answers, and we'll be talking about those today. Man, my mind parkoured as I watched the episode. Event after event, the dynamic and expectations just kept changing. Making this video kinda gave me a headache actually. The episode just added more pieces to the puzzle, and we're still gonna need a lot more pieces than what we have now to form the big picture. In this video, we're gonna talk about daddy issues, burning at the stake, starting your own business, and manipulative gaslighting. Episode 7 exposed more of Ichiro Okuchi's writing style, which heavily focuses on twists and delivering that wow factor. But the scary thing about his past works is that sometimes he would raise questions and leave them unanswered. Looking at you, Vavrave. Now, G-Witch episode 7 raised a lot of questions, and let's hope they all get answered in the future. First, let's talk about the new visual in the opening, where we see Delling with the Gundam Lufrith variants behind him. Now, obviously, this raises a lot of questions and a lot of theories. A lot of people are thinking if maybe it was Delling's plan from the very beginning to make Gundams, or to have Gundams made, but he was just waiting for Miorine to do the dirty work for him, or he was waiting for someone to do the dirty work for him, so he wouldn't take the blame. Well, yeah, that's one theory, and my friend Mark told me that if that theory were true, Delling's plan would be very similar to something Japan did in World War II. In World War II, Japan secretly built a weapon that they weren't supposed to. They built the Yamato battleship. And during that time, there was a rule that countries can't make more battleships. And now I'm sure some of you are wondering, why would Delling push for Cathedra in the first place, ban Gundams in the first place if this was his plan all along? Well, in World War II, Japan took advantage of the rule. Because if everyone else was following the rule to not make the prohibited weapon, then Japan would be the only one making that secret weapon. The same way, Delling would use Cathedra to ban other parties from developing Gundams, and if this was his plan all along, then he would be the only one, or one of the few ones making Gundams. And honestly, Delling was really weird in this episode. He eventually agreed to Miorine's proposal, which is something that would be against Cathedra. And there are many ways to see this. Like, does he really believe in Miorine, or is this actually just part of an evil plan? Another interesting thing to point out is that Lufrith Ur and Lufrith Thorn seem to be designed by Takayuki Anase. As some of you may know, each faction from G-Witch has its own mecha designer in real life. So far, I haven't seen official confirmation that Yanase is the designer of Lufrith Ur and Lufrith Thorn, but come on, these Gundams really look like they were designed by Yanase. They look very similar to Yanase's past works. One looks like Cerevi and the other kinda looks like Ariel's. And both of those were designed by Yanase. So yeah, I'm speculating Takayuki Yanase is assigned as the designer of Gundam Corporation, following this pattern, right? If Delling is behind the development of these new Gundams, he might actually have ties with Elnora or Venatus Institute. Now let's talk about that merger. Wow. So the first time watching that scene, I found it very weird because Miorine proposed a merger between two companies that she's not even really a part of. And while I'm no business expert at all, as far as I know, a merger would require the consent of the two companies. But after watching the scene again, I realized that all Miorine really did was propose the merger. And I'm not sure if this is how mergers work in real life, but yeah, Miorine's proposal eventually got a lot of backers, a lot of supporters, a lot of investment, and I guess in the end of the day, it's gonna be a deal that Pile Technologies and Shinsei Corporation would have a hard time rejecting. It kinda makes me wonder, is this how Elon Musk acquires all those companies? Does he just propose them and gets like enough backers? I don't know. It's just is this what Elon's been doing the whole time? And also, Prospera and the PAL CEO seemed happy about the merger. possibly implying that was planned by one of the involved parties from the very beginning. And the company merger could also result in the combination of the Earth and Pile houses, because Shinsei's representative is linked to the Earth house. And if this happened, Suletta and her friends would encounter Elan more, and the more they encounter, the higher the chances are of them noticing the difference between Enhanced Person number 4 and Master Elan, as well as future Elan copies. So yeah, this could open up more to, that whole Elan mystery, if that combination does happen. Also, it's been speculated that Ghoul would join Earth House after getting kicked out, but if the Earth Pile House merger does happen, Ghoul joining the house would be a little weird. So yeah, let's just see how that plays out, if ever. Or it's also possible for the new Gundam company to just create its own house. That's also possible. So yeah, that's what I think about the merger, and we're even not really sure how similar mergers are in the Ad Stella era with the mergers in real life. So if you're an expert in business, in merger and acquisition, please let me know in the comments section what you think about what happened. And another interesting thing about the merger and, well, how it ties in with what Saria Zanelli was planning is kind of weird and interesting, because the different parties involved in Saria Zanelli's plan to expose Delling had different reactions to what happened. Vim was pissed, while the Pile CEO seemed quite pleased about what happened, and Sarius himself seems like he's taken one more step into solving a mystery. Yeah, they all had different reactions to what happened. Well, it's probably because they all still have different intentions and different motives. Also, Vim already knew about Farak beforehand? So yeah, another question there is that, what are these people after? I guess we could say Sarius just wants to expose Delling, and Vim probably wants to be in power and rise above Delling. But the intentions of Pile Technologies are kind of unclear to me. They brought in a Gundam, and then they claim that they brought it in so they can expose Ariel, but was that really their intention? Or was that just a last-minute statement to defend themselves, and I guess do some damage control? But overall, I think I can believe that the whole thing was staged and intended on multiple levels. As I mentioned, all of those CEOs have their different goals, probably, and it's possible Prospera could have a hand in this in some way. All of these adults seem manipulative in their own way. So now the question is, who is the one in control of this very complex chess game? And speaking of Prospera, let's take a look at that interesting conversation she had with Mio Mio. Prospera seems to have gaslit Mio Mio for, well, nefarious purposes. Prospera saw that Mio Mio has the potential to use some of Delling's power, which Prospera may indirectly control if she can emotionally manipulate Mio Mio. And in the end of the day, Mio Mio is really just daddy's little girl. And now let's talk about another big mystery presented by this episode, the one involving our favorite Earthian, Nika Nanaura, who had a rather suspicious exchange with Shadiq. My guess is that she needed Grassley's help to complete the Mirrorsoul backpack. I mean, there's no way she made that backpack from just those scraps, come on. And if this theory is true, she probably gave Shadiq something of value in exchange for his help. It could be some secret information she found about Ariel while working on the mobile suit, unless there's something else of value that she could offer to Shadiq, and hopefully it's not anything dirty. Hopefully. And if she did give Shadiq some data about Ariel, this could actually support the development of Michaelis, Shadiq's mobile suit that we have not seen yet. So Michaelis might have some tech to counter Ariel, or an improved version of the Burger's jamming tech. And this brings me back to the question I had from my last video. Okay, why couldn't Mama Prospera just provide a backpack herself, right? Can't they just ask Soletta's mom for a backpack? Isn't that a lot easier than talking to Shadiq? Come on. And it's also possible that Shadiq's deal with Nika could involve, other things that would benefit Nika. Like, maybe getting back at her bullies. Maybe that was part of the deal. We don't know, but Shadiq could be like a master prankster. Like, aside from the help to develop the Mirasol backpack, he could have, pulled some pranks on those bullies, hacked their Facebook account. And this episode also provided more info supporting the weird theories that came up in the last episode. That whole 21 years thing and Ari becoming Ariel. And this information comes from two statements made by Prosper herself in this episode. She called Delling the man who suppressed the Venatus incident 21 years ago. In my previous video, I talked about potential theories about what happened 21 years ago. What Prospera just said could mean that what happened 21 years ago were the events of Prologue. And yeah, I'm sure you've heard those theories about Ari being Ariel and Soletta is not really Ari because of the age difference. But I think it's also possible that Ari is Soletta and Elnora just probably put her into cold sleep, and that way their masquerade would also be less obvious. Now let's talk about how they revealed Ariel's status as a Gundam in a scene that seemed like a witch trial. It was a very dramatic and entertaining scene that felt like watching a play. However, I was expecting Ariel's Gundam reveal to be more intense. Like, imagine Ariel was being pinned down by lots of mobile suits upon discovering solid evidence that Ariel is in fact a Gundam. Imagine if instead of this burning at the stake scene, they went with an all-out witch hunt. So yeah, I was just expecting it to be a little more intense, but the way they went with was still very entertaining. And now that we've talked about all the serious stuff, let's talk about the cute little things in between. This episode showed us that Shadiq and Miorine do have some sort of connection. And this further backs up that scene we got from a previous episode where Shadiq was staring at Mio. I'm actually starting to think that there's this weird romantic tension between them. Another cute, funny scene I noticed in this episode was how Soletta was supposed to get her mother a drink, but well, that never happened thanks to Mr. Pretty Boy over here. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Feel free to leave comments about what you think of the episode, or if you have your own theories, your own predictions, your own interpretations about the things that happened in the episode. Yeah, let me know. And you all have a nice day.